Everyone fell silent when Eleanor Vance entered the ballroom. The sound of her heels echoed on the marble floor, and that red dress was impossible to ignore. All eyes turned as if they were seeing a ghost. No one could believe it was the same girl who, years ago, was the subject of jokes, laughter, and rejection. The one they called ugly, weird, out of place. The same one who cried hidden in the school hallways. Now she stood there, with the posture of a queen and the firm gaze of a victor. But who was Eleanor? And how, after so much contempt, did she conquer not only respect, but also the heart of Alexander Thorne, the city's most influential and desirable CEO? This is not just a romance story. It's a story of transformation, courage, and emotional justice. A woman discredited, ignored, and humiliated, who decided to turn her life around. She returned stronger, more beautiful, and more confident than anyone could have imagined. And at the center of it all, a red dress, and a man who saw in her what no one else dared to see. Stay with me, because this story will touch you. Eleanor grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone. A place where appearance and last names mattered more than character. From a very young age, she learned that being different was almost a crime. She wore inherited, mended clothes, her hair tied in a makeshift bun with a rubber band. Her shoes were always too tight or too loose. Nothing fit the standards of the elite high school she attended. At school, Eleanor was the invisible girl. To some, she went unnoticed. To others, she was the target of cruel jokes. They mocked her torn backpack, her timid voice, her hunched way of walking. But worse than the bullying were the adults who saw everything and pretended not to notice. Teachers who preached meritocracy but considered her a lost cause. Principals who praised the popular kids, ignoring those who needed support. Her birthdays were solitary. She was never invited to a single party. When she brought cake to the classroom, almost no one ate it. They said it tasted poor. Once, she gathered the courage to write a letter to the most popular boy in class. The next day, he read it aloud, amidst laughter. No one defended her. She swallowed her tears in the bathroom and spent the rest of the day silent. At home, it was no different. Her mother, exhausted from working so much, told her she needed to toughen up. Her father, always absent, only appeared to criticize. She grew up hearing that she wasn't enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough, not talented enough. Over time, she believed it. She avoided photos, hated mirrors, apologized even for existing. She dreamed of being invisible because being seen hurt more. But deep inside her, something was hidden, a silent strength. She absorbed everything, every laugh, every exclusion, every cruel word. She collected humiliations, like one collects open scars, and between tears and sleepless nights, a seed sprouted. It wasn't hatred, it was determination. At her high school graduation, she wore the same dress she'd worn to other gatherings. She sat alone at a corner table. Her name wasn't even mentioned in the tribute speech. She left without saying goodbye, walked to the sidewalk, looked at the sky, and promised, "I will never let them treat me like this again." It was in that silence, with a broken heart, that the woman who would one day wear the most impactful red dress that city had ever seen was born. The town was left behind. The pain was not. In the capital city, Eleanor arrived with an old suitcase, $100 in her pocket, and a desire to change. No friends, no contacts, no promises of success. But, for the first time, she felt freedom. No one there knew her past. She got a job as a receptionist in a small beauty salon. The salary barely paid for the small room she rented in the back of a house, but she never complained. She washed floors, hair, made coffee, attended to clients with a discreet smile, and, amidst brushes and conversations, she learned her first great lesson. Beauty is presence, and presence can be learned. At night, she studied with used textbooks and free videos on her phone. She delved into psychology, body language, personal branding. She learned to care for her skin with homemade recipes, to do her makeup with leftover products forgotten in the salon, to walk with confidence, to hold her gaze. She bought clothes from thrift stores and adapted each piece creatively. She rebuilt herself from the outside in. At work, she became a reference. Clients sought her advice. Salon owners asked for her help to train new hires. One day, she heard, "You were born to lead." That phrase ignited the spark. She enrolled in a technical aesthetics course, then in a marketing college. She worked all day, studied late into the night. She slept little, ate poorly, but had a sparkle in her eyes that no one could extinguish. She created a modest social media profile to share her discoveries. She spoke of self-esteem, new beginnings, courage. Soon, thousands of women began to follow her, saying, "You inspire me." One day, she was invited to give a lecture at a women's entrepreneurship event. She walked in trembling, but when she began to speak, her voice found firmness. She told her story, her wounds, her achievements. When she finished, she received a standing ovation in the audience, a fixed gaze. Mr. Alexander Thorne, CEO of a fashion startup, respected, strategic, intrigued by this woman who spoke as if she owed nothing to anyone. Later, he approached her and said, "You have something rare. You know who you are." Then came the invitation to the alumni reunion at the school where it all began. For a second, she thought of tearing up the invitation. But no, this time, she wouldn't run away. She planned every detail. The dress would be an extension of her, long fitted, deep red, with an elegant slit. When she tried it on, she understood. It wasn't about drawing attention. It was about affirming who she had become. On the night of the event, the room fell silent when she entered. The laughter ceased. The whispers stopped. She walked among them with firm steps, like someone who knows she belongs wherever she steps. She recognized faces. Some cringed in embarrassment, others stared at her in astonishment. Even the old class prince tried a joke. "You look different, ... She smiled. "You too. But I prefer who I've become." She turned her back with the same elegance with which she arrived. At the height of the night, Alexander appeared. He entered silently, but his presence lit up the ballroom. He went straight to her, ignoring all curious glances. He held her hand and said, "I wouldn't have missed this night for anything." They talked, laughed, danced. It wasn't showing off. It was respect. The school principal approached. "How elegant. Do you work in fashion?" She replied with a smile, "I work in transformation." And there, that night, the one who was once a laughingstock was now an inspiration. At the end of that night, Eleanor left the ballroom as she entered, head held high, calm steps, the red dress moving like an extension of her strength. Inside, whispers, stares, and the regrets of those who never believed in her remained. Outside, the world awaited and she was ready to conquer it once more. Alexander walked beside her, silent, proud. But, contrary to what many thought, he wasn't her happy ending. He was a bonus. Because the true happy ending, Eleanor built herself every sleepless night, every swallowed tear, every wound transformed into courage. She didn't need applause to prove her worth. She didn't need revenge to feel strong. She shone because she finally understood that the most valuable power lies within each of us. On the way out, someone commented softly, "She returned like a star." But Eleanor knew she didn't come back to impress anyone. She came back for herself. And if today you feel invisible, small, or insufficient, look within. Take a deep breath. Remember Eleanor, the girl no one saw, but who was always a giant inside. Perhaps you don't have a red dress yet, but one day, when you feel ready, you will wear your own courage. And when that happens, nothing and no one will stop you. Believe in yourself. Your new beginning can start now. If this story touched your heart, like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear this today, and subscribe to the channel.